Hey guys, I'm going to try to show you guys how to use TaskStream, and this is kind of um, a long explanation, so it's possible this may get broken into two videos, but I want to make sure that it's very thorough and that you guys really have a clear grasp on what you need to do. So the very first thing I want to show you is how to get to TaskStream. This is really simple if you're on the Moodle page, and this is the login for TaskStream. So you can kind of open that in a new tab, and that's going to create the TaskStream login place. And then the other things I want to show you are when all in week 11. There are four main resources that I want you to see and to open. The first is the TaskStream instructions and codes. And this will come back to this, but basically this is where you can find your codes that you're going to need, which we'll talk about where you'll need to put those. And then here are your student instructions, and then also your core skill instructions. So I'm going to open both of those. We'll look at those together. And then the last resource here is this TaskStream checklist, which I already have open, which basically is a checklist of everything that needs to get put on TaskStream. And none of this is stuff that you won't have. This is all stuff that you've created when you were making your ePortfolio. The very first thing you'll notice here is to upload your ePortfolio link to TaskStream. This is really easy, and this is the only thing that's due this week, is to create your login, to create both your program and your core skill kind of accounts, which I'll show you how to do, and then also to upload your ePortfolio as a link. And then all of these other ones, uploading all those artifacts and reflections and stuff, this is all due next week. So this week is kind of simple. Now you can get started on this if you want to, but I'll kind of talk to you a little bit more about that as we go. So those are the four resources that are there for you. Just kind of going through these resources together. I want to kind of just go over everything, but the first thing I want to start with here is TaskStream itself. So this is what it'll look like. Of course, it will not have it already filled in. And you're going to go ahead and click Create Renew Account. Now, if you have created an account for a previous class, I don't think really any of the classes that you guys have taken probably use this, but there are like one or two here and there that sometimes do use it to submit artifacts. So it's possible you have one already. So, if so, sign into it, and if not, go ahead and hit Create Renew. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go to the instructions for a second, because once I click onto TaskStream, it's going to look a little different than it does for you. So I want to make sure that we're going through the instructions kind of together. Again, the first step, click Create Renew Accounts. And I'm just going to kind of go over all this a little bit. This will be the next page you will see. So you're going to click Create a New TaskStream Subscription. And then it's really important that you click Option 2. Well, you don't click it, but you enter the code, because Option 1 requires you to purchase something. You don't need to purchase anything. So Option 2, you have a TaskStream code. Now, it's nicely listed right here as well. Here's the code. I also have it on this page, right? Here's that code right there. But you're going to put your the first number, the B92 number here, and then the second number, the T6X, that number is going to go on the second one. And then you hit continue. Then the second part of setup here is to create kind of some information. So basically you're going to do these 4 drop-down menus. The first one should say Arts and Sciences Division. The last one should say Student. These two right here in the middle, these two you need to change. They're not going to say Arts and Associate in Arts. You're going to select Associates in Fine Arts, Visual Arts, and that looks like this, right? This is this right here, right? So this is where you need what you need to look for. So Associates in Fine Arts, Visual Arts. So that's where you're going to submit that right there. It's just a drop down, you'll pick the one that is appropriate and hit continue. Okay, this next page here, this is where the next code comes in. You're going to be prompted to put in a code, and you're going to do that for the first one. It doesn't matter whether you do the art one or you do the core skills one first. It doesn't really matter. The codes, again, these are the codes. So the AFA code, and then the arts and sciences core skill code. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that in a second, but mine doesn't look like this because I've already put in one before. But you'll put in your first one and then you'll have an opportunity to put in the second one. So I'm going to sign in and kind of show you that real fast, if it will let me. And again, mine looks a little different than yours looks because I have different types of options for assessing. Okay, so right here is how mine looks. Yours might look a little bit different, but basically, here's where I could enter that code. Don't see the code that you want, click to enter a code. And I can actually, I'm just going to go back here and copy this arts and sciences one. And I'm going to paste this in. Now, I've obviously have done this before, but that's okay. I'm just going to do it again so you guys can kind of see the process. Now, it's going to say I'm already enrolled in this program. That's because I've already done this once, which is fine. Yours will say like confirmation, and it will move on to it. So I'm just going to go back to the self-enrollment page, and instead of entering the program code, I'm going to go ahead and click on pause. So because I've already enrolled in it, I'm just going to go home. And for me, like mine are here. So here is the core skills one, and here's the associates in fine arts. This is what it will kind of look like for you too. Like you'll have both of them. If you don't have both of them, you would enter the code and add the other one. So I'm going to click on the arts and sciences one. And this is where it's going to look where you're going to put stuff into it. So this is pretty simple. Honestly, like it's pretty self-explanatory and there's lots of instructions. This first part right here, this is all you have to do this week, which once you've created those two things, you just have to submit your ePortfolio link. To do that, you click here. And then again, read the instructions. It's going to tell you to click the link icon. And then you give your website a name. The URL, I'm just going to use my website, but you would put your Wix site. The description is optional, and then I'm going to click add link. Right, and so here it is right here. Now it's really important that you double check and make sure your link is working. Obviously you want to verify that you did it correctly so that people can actually look at it. So mine worked, cool. So I'm good. Now you can hit save and return. And it's going to give you a little error message here, but just kind of ignore that and I'll show you what that means. So it's going to say, are you ready to submit your work? And if so, click submit work. Now, this is important. Like, don't close this because it's important to keep getting this message. So don't hit don't show again. Just hit OK. And then don't click submit work. I'll let you know when you can submit your work. But for now, just go ahead and upload your link. After you get approval from Ms. Fraley to continue, you can start submitting your artifacts and your reflections. And those are pretty simple. You're just going to click through and read the instructions and follow the instructions. So for example, here it says to copy your reflection on this artifact from your ePortfolio. So you will essentially go ahead and click on text and images. As it tells you to do in the space, click on text and images, and then paste your reflection right here. And again, save and return. Now, again, you're not going to want to hit submit work. And then you're going to you can reopen the directions. You're going to do the next part, which is to upload your artifacts. You're going to click on the attachments button and follow those instructions. And you'll end up having like a text and image section and an attachment section. And you'll do that for all of these. Now, the instructions vary slightly. So for example, for this one, you are uploading a video. So you're going to use this button right here. Right, so make sure you read the instructions carefully for each of these. And if you click on this top part, you can kind of get an overview of it. And then if you click on submit, that's where you'll get the directions of how to submit. And you can also review the evaluation method, so how it's evaluated. You can even look at the rubric if you want to. So you'll do that for all of your core skills. So written, oral, technology, critical thinking, cultural literacy. And again, that's due next week. This week, all you have to do is that ePortfolio link. Okay, let me go back to, and I'm going to go home. I'm just going to go back. Back one more time. Okay, so I just kind of like exited out and went back in because I just couldn't figure out how to get back to the home menu, and I didn't want to go into anything else. But I want to briefly show you the Associates in Fine Arts one. It's basically going to be the same. You know, here's where you're going to submit stuff, and you're going to do in this spring 2020 submission area. You're not going to do in any of this lower stuff. But basically, for each one of these, you are going to follow the directions and submit what you need to submit for each of these um, program outcomes, right? And it's just very specific instructions. This is very simple, guys. Just kind of like follow the instructions. The hardest part is getting logged in and getting access to this, but once you have it, it's really straightforward and simple to submit everything. So really fast, I'm just gonna go back to the instructions. Again, these are all here for you. You can kind of look and see there's more instructions as well. And then there's a secondary instruction for core skills. Quite honestly, I kind of think what I showed you might be more beneficial than looking through this, but make sure you at least look through it all, especially this first part. Really does have the step-by-steps of how to get into it. And then once you have created it, let's see if I click here, if I'll go back to the main. Yep. Once you've created the two, then you're going to go ahead and add your ePortfolio link, and then you were done for now. And that's for this week. Let me know once you're done with that. I will let Miss Fraley know so she can go in and give you feedback on your ePortfolio. This is something that is required for you to get her approval. And once you have her approval, then you can go ahead and start uploading your artifacts. Now, it's important to get her approval first, otherwise you'll upload your artifacts and then she might give you feedback and you'll have to delete them and re-upload them. So that's why I say you should wait. And again, you shouldn't really be submitting your ePortfolio link until your ePortfolio is finished. But we are getting to a point in the semester where that needs to happen ASAP. We've got just a few more weeks left. So if you're not finished with your ePortfolio, make sure you are wrapping that up this week and getting that link posted by the end of this week, early next week at latest. I kind of think that's everything that I wanted to show you. Again, going back to Moodle, these are these resources. Here are the codes. Again, just one more time to show you how to put the codes in. When you are on your screen here, it's going to look a little different than mine looks. Didn't like that. Let me try again. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to reload it again. As I'm saying again, it's going to look a little different than mine looks, I'm sure. But you know, basically, if you don't see your program, you should be able to click to enter the code. And again, this code here that you're putting in, I mean, I'm already enrolled in both of them, so I don't need to do it. But the code that you're putting in is these codes right here. This is the code for the program, and this is the code for the core skills. And so you'll need to do that twice to make sure you have access to both of them. And that's pretty much it. When you put in the first one, it'll ask you like a question. I can't show that to you, I'm sorry, but it'll ask you a question like, do you want to add another code for another program, or do you want to proceed to edit? And you can go ahead and do the other code at that time, and then go back into home and proceed to edit. All right, I think that's everything, and the video time limit is coming up close. I'm going to go ahead and call it and post this video. If you have any questions about TaskStream, or if you need help and you want to like, Skype or chat on the phone while you're working on it, I'd be happy to. Just let me know. And I hope this is helpful.